What up, what up? It's your boy Blake Anthony with another session of Sports Talk49, the Overreaction show. And I'm here with my brother from another mother big game, James Cannida, former Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive tackle, full of insight, full of knowledge. I love talking to guys that's actually played the game because I don't listen to guys who's usually not. Because you really don't, most of y'all don't know what the hell you're talking about anyway. So that's why I like talking to these guys. So, James, how you doing today?
I am good, Blake. What's happening, brother? Everything going on?
Everything's good. I advertise I'm gonna be with the foolishness tonight, so you have to excuse me tonight. I done had a few in me. We're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna get the business stuff out the way, and then we're gonna get into the stuff I want to talk about, and I'm sure you got some stuff to say too. But it's gonna be it's gonna be fun today. I'm gonna fully enjoy tonight. But like I said, let's get into the business aspect first. What actually happened in this game? And you guys know, as I always I start with the box score. So let me full screen that for you. We'll talk about the box score. Of course, you know the score: 23-20. Jaden Daniels 24 for 35. They couldn't run on the Bucs as most teams can. 24 for 35, 286, 2 TDs. Baker 15 for 18, only 3 incompletions, but only 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let me go into detail. As I said, no rushing yards for the Commanders, much like all year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's why they were top 3 against the run. Nick Lawrence showed up, 7 for 89, 1 TD. De'Ami Brown, former UNC Tar Heel, 5 for 89 and 1 touchdown. Baker Mayfield, 15 for 18, 185-2, as I said. Bucky, 17 for 77. Baker 7 for 23. Rashad White 1 for 1. We'll talk about that later. Mike led the day 7 for 92, destroying Marshawn Lattimore. But we'll talk about that. Jalen McMillan 2 for 41. K. Dotton 2 for 32 and 2 for 14. Offensive yards don't look how they normally look, as you would normally see from a Coen offense. Like I said, we'll get into that in a minute. I like to show the box score first, so you got an idea of what we're going to talk about. And then we're going to talk about it individually. All right, so let me get out of that and full screen you and I. Come on out of that. There we go. So, James, after everything I said there, what do you want to start with?
It was just kind of surprising to me that the stat line on our offense was what it was, and I don't think it had a lot to do with game plan. I think they game planned it right for what Washington had been giving up in the past. I just think the Commanders' defense surprised a lot of people and played better than what they've been playing. They looked a lot better, especially early on. I knew, a lot of people talk about the week 1 matchup and like, oh, we got him in week 1. Yes, we did, but at the same time, that was Jaden Daniels' first time on the NFL field, first start on the road. He's gotten a lot better since then. Hats off to the defense. A lot of people talk some crap about the defense. Some plays you wish you would have seen him make, like the one play Kansas, thought he was going to get Daniels in the backfield, and he got stiff armed and gave it up. But at the same time, you take with the good what he did on top of that most of that game. And you don't fault a player for one game. Those guys get paid just like the guys on our team get paid. So, it is what it is. But honestly, the offensive output, reading those numbers that you just read from Baker Mayfield and how he's been lighting it up and throwing the ball all over the place, it kind of surprised me that we couldn't exploit or get a little bit more out of that out of our offense against that Washington secondary.
Yeah, the first thing I came to mind when the game was over, I'm looking left and I'm looking right, and I was in attendance at the game. As most of you guys always know, I'm always there. Is that we threw no damn screens the entire game, which we made a living off of.
Right.
So are you pulling a Shanahan that you run all year long and destroy teams running the ball, and then you get into the playoffs, you want to do some shit different. Right. All of a sudden. You don't go to your bread and butter. I didn't see no screens to Otten. I ain't seen no screens to Rashad. I ain't seen no screens to Bucky Irvin. I don't know what the hell happened. I mean, maybe you can explain it to me, James. Is that something that happens? You want to be like, they'll never see this coming. They know we're going to run a screen, but we're not going to do that. Is that something the coaches ever told y'all? Because evidently I don't know too much. Maybe you know more than me.
Well, no, going into it, when your game plan is your game plan, and once once you go into the week, once you get there that Wednesday morning and, you know, you go into your offense team meetings, your defensive team meeting rooms, that game plan is laid out there on those different sides of the ball. And then you break down after that and go over it, you know, by position and then get out there on the field, walk through, and you know what's going on. So to have the success that they've had, throwing the ball out the backfield, getting Rashard White involved, catching the ball, Bucky Irving catching the ball, you script it and scheme it, and not to say scheme it, but you script it and work it in differently. So maybe you had tendencies of running it certain places. You have to change that tendency. So, you know, the defense is not ready for it. But they totally went away and turned a blind eye to it. And I think it bit them in the butt big time.
Yeah, I have to say so, because I saw that get, especially guys like Rashad and Bucky, they're great in space. Rashad
And they're great catching, and they're both great catching the ball. That's the thing. Normally you have one back that can catch the ball, but to have two that can actually catch it and make something happen out of nothing with the ball in their hands out of the backfield is like it's a godsend. You don't get that.
And you totally eliminated Rashad in this game. That's why I said I didn't want to touch into it when I talked to the box score. You eliminated Rashad from this offense. Liam, are you crumbling under pressure with the Tampa Bay fans loving Bucky and then thinking like, well, I want everybody to I want everybody to like me, so I'll only play Bucky Irving in the game and I won't use Rashard White, even though Rashard White has over 1,000 yards in all-purpose yards, but everybody likes Bucky, so I'll put him in the pass protect, which he got his ass blown up by Bobby Wagner pass blocking. Love the guy to death. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing Bucky. I know what your limitations are. You're 5'7". Bobby Wagner is a Hall of Fame, 6'3", 250-pound linebacker. Rashad is 6'2", 225. I don't know if a lot of y'all knew that. Rashad is 6'2". That's why he's a great pass blocker. And Rashad, and you left Bucky in if he's an all-purpose back, and you got to see that he cannot pass block. God bless his soul. He tried. He got in there. I'm not coming at him like that. I'm more coming at Liam for whatever reason it was that you just totally excommunicated Rashad White from your offense when you have over 1,000 yards, all-purpose yards with him for 17 weeks in the season. Maybe you can explain it to me, James. They eliminated him from the offense entirely.
Well, I think it's something that they just got comfortable doing. Like they got caught up in the moment. And I don't think you intentionally go in saying, you know, we're not going to use Rashad at all this week. And I think because you said it just a few seconds ago, they've had success running Bucky Irving. And the surprising thing is between the tackles. But now knowing how that box looks, knowing what you're getting blitz-wise, look-wise, now is the time to get that. You know, someone else small in stature like Bucky Irving, but did pass protect a little bit better than him, was work done, right? But when you have someone of the Rashad White size, like you said, that you know that's going to be doesn't have to just use a chip block like Warwick Dunn did to get a successful block, but could actually take it square on, give Baker a little bit more time, knowing that you can help the offensive line if anything seeps in and not use it. I just think it was a mishap. And I believe this, and I'll say this all the time. There's no offensive coordinator that ever comes in the game going, well, I got to call it. Well, they do it. They don't say it. It might be in their subconscious.
Never say that out loud.
Yeah, but you're never going to say like, well, yeah, I got to do this because of this. And I don't think Liam Coen came into the game thinking like, well, Bucky's doing so good right now. I'm just going to make sure we leave him in the whole time and never utilize Rashad White the way we need to. And then, you know, being a coach, being in the coaching game before, I've been in situations where it's like, damn, I got to do a better job of make sure I rotate you in here sooner to keep the other guys' legs fresh, but yet also give me a variety because you do X, Y, and Z better than he does X, Y, and Z. He'll do the ABC, and then I'll bring you in for X, Y, and Z, and then when it's time to rotate y'all back out, we're good to go, and we don't really lose a step. And the moment may have been big. It may have been, I don't want to say it's too big, but the moment may have been a little bit, bigger than what Coen was used to.
Mm-hmm. It's possible you play with the Rams and everything. I mean, you know what? I'm glad you brought up what he might be used to. Let's go into what Liam Coen's actual resume looks like. Let's talk about that. I actually have it up, James.
Okay.
Career history. As a player, he played for the Alabama Vipers in 2010. He went to UMass. As a coach, he was a quarterback coach for Brown for 2010, and Rhode Island in 2011, pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach. 2012 to 2013, quarterbacks coach at Brown. UMass 2014, 2015, go coach at your alma mater. That's what every player wants to do. You want to coach where you played at. Pass game quarterback and quarterbacks coach at UMass from 2014 to 2015. Maine 2016 to 2017, offensive coordinator. Finally got an OC job after, what did I start? 2010. So 6 years later, you got an OC job. Offensive coordinator of the Rams next year after offensive coordinator of Maine. Rams 18 to 19, you go to the assistant wide receiver coach. So you weren't given a OC coach at first in your NFL job. You were given a assistant wide receiver coach.
Right.
Rams 2020, assistant quarterbacks coach. So you're moving up a little bit. You moved to quarterbacks coach now, what you did when you first started coaching. Okay, so you went from the Rams from assistant wide receiver coach in 2020, then assistant quarterback coach to 2021. So they fired you and brought you back. I'm not sure what that is. That you went to Kentucky in 2021. You were offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Kentucky. Then came back to the NFL in 2022 to be an offensive coordinator, which they had much success. Then you went back to Kentucky. I'm not sure if you were fired or not, but 2023, your offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Kentucky, and then the rest is he's been in Tampa Bay. So, and that's not me. That's me reading his resume online, which any of you watching this can pull it up.
Yeah.
What makes you think that this guy is a head coach? Listen at that. What makes you think that he can manage men and lead men? What's your perspective, James? Like I said, not my opinion. That's what I read.
No,
you put it up when you're talking. Go keep talking.
This is the thing, and this league is kind of a copycat league, right? Mm-hmm. If people see anyone that has some success, they want to automatically come in and pull from it. I'm not trying to be funny. Do you honestly think Dave Canales is ready to be a head coach yet in Carolina?
Absolutely not. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, James.
Right, but he got the gig, right? You look.
The Panthers are a joke anyway of an organization, but
that's a whole nother. Yes, no arguments there. And shout out to my boys from the Panther Nation podcast that I'm gonna hook up with later this week to do our NFC South roundtable. But my point is, Liam Coen has been able to come in this year, have some success on the offensive side of the ball. The offensive side of things sells tickets. That's why people go to the game. You love defense. I love defense, but not everyone does. So Liam Coen has had some success. Baker Mayfield has now had success. The offense, stat-wise, for the most part, the numbers improved from last year to this year. So now what's the one thing that's going to start seeping around and the rumbles that a lot of people are going to shake up? Oh, man, I think Liam Coen will be a hell of a head coach somewhere. And we know it doesn't always transition to that. Just because you can help work the situation that you're in and scheme the players that you have does not necessarily mean that you're going to go be a great leader of men and be ready for the head coaching role. But I honestly think that's what it is. I believe Liam Coen's had some success. People are starting to, oh, wow, imagine if he'd do this different than Bowles. Oh, man, I think he could be a head coach somewhere. And, everybody else whose team is out of it, they ain't got nothing else to talk about right now. But speculation type stuff.
And I'm good. I'm gonna piggyback off of that because I can't. I told y'all I'm gonna front. I'm coming with the bullshit tonight. I said so. I came ready to fire on all MF and cylinders. So I'm glad you bring up. So let me come back your point and let me pivot it a little bit. Big shout out to the pivot with Ryan Clark and all that. Let me pivot a little bit. So there was a time where everybody wanted offensive coordinators to Sean McVay. Big shout out to Harry Berg. Brought this up earlier when we were talking today. I said, but everybody wanted that offensive guy as the head coach because the Mike Shanahan coaching tree.
Mhm.
Let's bring in an offensive coordinator as a head coach, an offensive-minded guy, thing. I get all that. That's where it was kind of trendy. But let me tell you where you mess up at. Let me use an example here. Mike McDaniels for the Miami Dolphins. He is a play caller. He is not a leader of men. He's not a leader of men. When everything's going good, everybody was on his nuts. When everything was going great, everybody wants that kind of guy, right? Then when shit hits the fan, you ain't able to handle guys that got problems. You can't look a man in the face and tell him he needs to get his shit together. Ain't nobody listening to you. Nobody's listening to a PFF stat nerd kind of guy trying to tell lead men to win football games against other men. And I'm sure, Jay, you're going to bring your perspective into that, but let me finish before you get into it.
No, you good, brother.
You can't look another grown man in the eye and tell him that he needs to step his shit up. You ain't that dude. You that dude that's going to call the offensive game plan and whatnot and get the game plan ready. But when shit hits the fan with these players, when they start being about me, showing up to practice late, not taking game plans serious, missing plays, doing all that stuff, you ain't getting in nobody's ass. You worried about calling the offense. That's why you got these problems in Miami right now. Yo dudes is getting arrested by cops going to a game. Yo dudes is going online talking about they want to leave and talking to the press that they want to leave. You got no control over your team. Did you see any of that from Todd Bowles? Zero. These guys were never on social media. These guys were never getting in trouble with the law because he's a man and he can handle grown men. He can't. That's why he will lose his job in Miami because you can't control these grown men. But everybody wants to sit around and talk about it's coaching. You don't know what shit is when it comes to coaching. It be right in front of your face and you can't tell. Go ahead, James. I'm off my soapbox.
Nah, you good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. At some point in time, and that's why some people's like, I don't get. You just made a couple of very, very good points that I wish I had the organ button because I feel like I just left church right there. I want to give you an amen. I want to give you an amen on someone, bro. But you're right. You have to have the accountability aspect, and trust me, I know it's getting harder and harder nowadays with the mindset of some of these younger players, how they act.
Man,
but they still like and need structure, right? You still need a coach that's gonna be firm and put the hand down. A lot of people say they don't like that Bowles doesn't yell and scream, but he does it the right way. He does it behind closed doors. I've heard a lot of different stories about how Todd Bowles does things, right? So if Liam Coen, I mean, I agree with you. Your man McDaniels down in Miami is a shit show right now.
Yeah.
It's really, 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 really bad right now. And we want Bowles going, wow, just man, it don't stop. So I mean, like I said, we always have to be careful what you ask for. And if you get a guy in here that looks good on paper and tells you what he can and can't, tells you what he can do and how the offense is gonna flourish, but loses the locker room and loses control and doesn't have anything else going on, you just about to start a repetitive cycle of being horrible, and the fire is about to get lit.
Okay. Yeah. To back you on that, I've said for years, me starting with podcasts and streaming and all that, I said winning organizations have two things: consistent head coach and consistent quarterbacks. Those are what winning franchises do. If you don't believe me, and I swear you can probably pull up all my videos, I've said this probably every year. If you don't believe me, go pull up all the losing franchises on the league right now and look at that recipe and see how many of those that keep switching coaches, how many of them are winning.
We name one team, Chicago.
Yeah, I'll answer for you. Like James said, there ain't one, not one.
Nope.
So with that, I'm not gonna go into that. I'm gonna spin it a different angle. So you knowing that, you choose to be an ignorant ass. Knowing it, you're choosing ignorance. And when the facts is there. You choose to be ignorant. So at this point, it's a choice because the statistics is there. The records is there. It's all there. It ain't coming from me. Just pull up their years when they keep swapping head coaches and quarterbacks. Pull it up. See how it works. It ain't me. It's already there. So you choose to go down that road and be ignorant. So Tampa Bay, as I said before, has finally gotten themselves out of that loophole. They finally got out of it. Why? You've gone from Bruce Arians to Todd Bowles, which was set up from the beginning. He's coached Todd Bowles since he was a kid till up to now. And so he's talking what he's teach and going there and does what Bowles and does what Arians taught him and spin it his own way. But furthermore, the point of that when you're going in the right direction, and I said Tampa Bay has got to learn to farm their own guys and start a farming system and getting these guys into the game. Your later round draft picks start producing. You got guys that want to come over because you can see you can develop players and make average players good and good players great. Henceforth. That's when you got a good system. And don't get me wrong, a head coach will always tell you he's just as good as his assistants because nobody talks about assistants. I coach over a high school level, and I understand I'm assistant coach, and that helps as far as your game plan because the head coach can't be there when you're doing individuals. The head coach can't be there when you're implementing the game and what guys playing well. He takes the information that you're giving him and puts these guys in the game because you said that these guys are ready to do what the job they do. That's what the point of assistants are. And I bring that up to bring this. When you got teams that want your guys that you have assistant coach, that means you're doing something right. Everybody wants to take it as a bad thing. Well, I don't want to lose Canales. I don't want to lose Liam. They want them because you got something that they want.
Right.
Which we didn't have shit before nobody wanted from Tampa Bay. Nobody wanted shit from here. You got dumped here. It was the job. It was the last job you wanted. Now everybody's getting hired from here. Why do you think that is? It couldn't be because Todd Bowles is a shitbag. Obviously not. He obviously got to know something to talk about because these guys got to apply for a job, right?
Right.
They're applying for a job here. They want to be a part of that. So obviously things are going in the right direction. So why would you want to disconnect that? Go ahead, James.
No, I think it's just what people do, and not to blame all people. I went through this when Tony Dungy was our head coach to finally where it happened because the defense was so good for so long and the offense struggled. It was like, oh man, we need change to where Rich McKay's hand was forced. The Glazers had him where he had to finally go ahead and make a change. And, Tony Dungy had to go. Went on to Indianapolis and had much more success to his coaching career. Finally got him a Super Bowl championship. And the rumblings are there. Like, people want to know, like, well, we're not doing this. We're not doing that. What about the consecutive playoff appearances? What about the consecutive NFC South titles? Now, granted, I'm not sitting here talking like the NFC South is the best division in all of football.
It's not right now. That's lost all the quarterback.
That's neither here nor there, though. You look at what we've been able to do. You look at what Todd Bowles has been able to accomplish. And shout out to my man Chris Cole, who said it best in this chat. You have been playing with a broke down, depleted secondary the entire season.
That's the realest statement right there.
The entire season. God,
I was loving waiting to see Bryce Hall play. Bryce Hall had that pick that got called back week 1 and then broke his arm or whatever it was. Right. I was looking forward to seeing Bryce Hall play. Yep. I hope he comes back next year.
Right. But Blake, you know this, man. And people say this too. It's only a 53-man roster. And when you get that late in the season and you only dress 47 when it comes game time, you don't even dress all 53.
Nope.
Right? So here it is. You're talking about this and that. To have that type of deficiency at one of the most important parts of your defense in late, we'll go sign somebody else. You can't get nobody else that late in the year. They all on a team somewhere or they're hurt too. So
what's that? What's that I showed you the other day, James? What was it?
Believe me when I tell you this, you can only get better. And you don't have to worry about getting a hook because I got no one left.
That's all the way 100, man. But I think everyone's caught up now in this facade. Like, well, we haven't won a championship. And can I be frank? And I'll say this, and I know I can say it because my perception of reality is going to be a lot different from a fan's perception of reality. Fans think every year, and I live in one of the worst places in the world when it comes
Texas,
to fans,
baby.
about
Texas.
them expecting to win a Super Bowl every single year. You have to go in knowing what your real expectations are. Do you want your team to win a Super Bowl? Hell yes, every year. But reality of it is, when you see rosters, when you see injuries happen, now you have to pivot, like you said, pivot. You have to pivot and change what your goal really is. And the expectations, like, honestly, for me, do I want us to win that game against Washington? Hell yeah. Do I think we win that game against Washington? Yes. Were we in the game? Hell yeah. Had every chance to win it. We didn't. But realistically, and people might say, oh, that guy's not a real fan because he didn't want us to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not a real fan. I'm a realistic fan.
Realistic. There's a difference.
To me, honestly, the goal for me this year was like, if we could have just made it past the division round to get to NFC Championship type game.
That's a win.
That would have been a Super Bowl within itself. Because looking at the depth and still looking how young we are on the offensive line, which has played a lot better, opening them holes for Bucky.
Big shout out to Jason Light.
Right. And then looking at what, Kalijah Kancey came on, played like a man possessed. But how many games? He was, 4 games this season?
First 4 games he was out.
Yeah, Tyke Smith later on in the year getting a concussion. I mean, we were against the A-ball so many different ways.
At no point we had all our guys all year.
Yeah, never. And we've got to add depth. You and I have talked about it before. So this notion that Bowles is horrible and needs to go, I think is foolish, and I laugh at it. People want change. People always want change because they think there's something brighter and shinier and new. It's just like you get sick of that girl at home. You get rid of her. You go to the club and get that young thing and realize you ain't got the money to put the gas in that vehicle that you need. Ooh. And now you got to go trade it in again. You better be careful what you ask for.
Definitely, you got to be careful what you ask for because the grass ain't always green on the other side.
And let Baker call some of the plays. What the hell?
What? Oh, you see some comments?
Yeah. Okay. How many coaches don't? Man, this last one. Pull it. He said, "This David Moses."
You can't be serious, right? You can't be serious. But hold on. Maybe I'm not understanding what he's saying exactly. Let me tell you, and James can back it up. I've coached. I've played. The quarterback has audibles in there depending on what the defense is. So if you get a call from Liam, you come in. If the defensive set is not what you expected against that play, Baker Mayfield has the authority to audible to a better play that is going to be productive. He has the ability to call his own plays. Essentially, what you're saying, he has the ability to do that, but to call his own plays, not any quarterback in the league is going to come up and call his own plays. James, you want to add?
No, I mean, there's a lot of things, but at the same time, let me ask you, and please leave that one up for a minute because I do want to touch on David's statement. If players needed to call their own plays and they were capable of doing it the right way, we wouldn't have offensive coordinators hired. We would just bypass that and that would get negotiated in a contract. Because at some point in time, a lot of players will think, oh, I can do this. I'm going to take this game into my hands myself and do this. And it's not going to be what you need it to be. You got to have someone doing that. Now, Baker, I believe he's shown that he needs a green light to be able to continue to audible and change things up, but to call his own plays more, nah. I'm not jumping on that bandwagon.
Nah,
I'm sure he has input. I'm sure Liam Coen listened to Baker Mayfield with what he sees, and when they go in the meeting,
they come up to the game plan together.
Yeah, I mean,
you know that the quarterbacks and the coordinator they come up to the plays together, and they ask, "Do you like this? Do you like this play?" But they do talk, but to call his own plays in the game, I seriously doubt that because he can't see the same thing that he sees from where he's at.
Yeah. This statement here: Todd
Yeah,
Bowles
go
lucked
ahead. I'm
out
gonna let you get that one.
and inherited a Super
Oh
Bowl team.
man, I can't wait for that. I was waiting for that one.
No, but
go ahead,
it's
Jay.
to me because yes, he inherited a Super Bowl team, but the most important piece that won that Super Bowl was pretty much gone when he took over. I mean, he had 1 year with them, but it wasn't the same. We saw that with the arm and the strength and some of the things that went on with Brady, right? But look how many coaches in the NFL have taken on team. What do you want him to do as a position as a coach? You know what? Thank you for this great opportunity, Tampa Bay. Jason Light. I know BA recommended me for the job, but this team is a little too good. I want to go get a shitty team to coach.
Yeah.
I want to go get a horrible team. So I like I did in Arizona when they were shit.
Yeah.
And show that how good I am with a shitty team. Somebody had to take over this team. He has still maintained the standard of winning the South and making the playoffs.
Yep,
At the end of the day,
maintained. Yep.
just get in the dance. Now you got to finish it. We know that, and he will finish it. But the injuries that we had, I don't know. Anybody can tell me what they want and say, well, that's part of the game. Next man up. That's bullshit. Because the next man, a lot of times, not doing what the first man did.
Hell no,
they can't do what the first man did.
That's why they on the bench. That's why they where they at. Exactly. Because they can't do what the next man is doing. Let me check these comments. And we'll talk about that. But I want to hit this one again. The inherited team. So let's talk about that a little bit. Since we want to talk about inherited teams, let's talk about it. Y'all love John Gruden, right? Yeah, when he show up, all the emails, all that, y'all still love John Gruden, right? When he show up, right? Who got inherited a Super Bowl team? John Gruden, right?
Facts.
John Gruden won that Super Bowl in 2002, right? He won that Super Bowl, right? What the hell did he do with it after that? Turn that shit into shit.
Head up. Toe it up.
That shit into straight shit. Oakland Raiders, old ass players they picked up. Didn't do a goddamn thing with that team. He is the worst head coach. He is a great offensive minded coach. Don't get me wrong. Head coach, absolutely not. He cannot manage a team to save his life. Oh, you want to talk about Todd Bowles and the Jets, right? What about Tom Gruden and the Raiders when he took over his ownership, right? When he took over and the head coach. Oh, wait, he got fired when he went over to Oakland. Well, how does that work? James, what's your thoughts?
No, I mean, I'm right there with you. And I say it all the time. And it's so funny because when people talk to me and find out, oh, you played for Coach Dungy, were you there when they won the Super Bowl? I'm like, nah, man, I went to Indianapolis. Man, it's a shame how John Gruden won with Coach Dungy team. That's all I ever hear. It's consistent. And it's just funny, man, because it is what it is. It's laughable. He inherited a team, but Andrew made a good point. What did you do with it? You had the best quarterback to ever play the game, not there pretty much anymore, and continue to maintain to win and get to get to the playoffs. It's still going in the right direction. Can we get through? Can we rebuild in some of the positions that we need to, that we've gotten old in, and stay healthy?
It was a point you wanted to make. I wanted to jump on it. They said inheriting the team. So I'm on record. I'm on recorded. I've had players right here on this podcast that will tell you that when he said, "Oh, well, he had Tom Brady." Tom Brady was checked out, bro. It's on recorded. Just go back to my my old clips. I had guys that played on the roster tell you that. He stepped down because Tom Brady didn't want to be yelled at by Arians anymore. He was at that point where he didn't think he needed to do that anymore. And he told them that he wanted to come up with the game plan. Him and Byron Leftwich were going to come up with the game plans for the games, and they needed Arians to step aside. How did that look? It was Tom Brady's worst year at Tampa Bay. He was a pick machine. It's a pick machine. Byron Leftwich never got another coaching job in the NFL after that. Not rightfully so. Well, He could have got Jacksonville, but nobody wants to coach under Trent Baalke, which they're still having problems right now.
Right.
Baalke, that's a whole nother conversation entirely. So when you're talking about inherited teams, that's what both. You're not going to cut Tom Brady as a head coach. Nobody. So he was kind of his arms tied behind his back on that.
Right.
You're not going to cut Tom Brady. You're not going to do none of that. You're going to deal with it and then deal with it after. You get a journeyman Baker Mayfield. Remember that year they weren't expected to win more than 6 games.
Right.
I believe
right. Picked to come in last in the division.
Went to the playoffs. Mind me how people have real amnesia when you want to. Journeyman quarterback, let's get the best we can get out of it and get there. Now we're talking about maybe we got a franchise quarterback because they took a chance on him. They got the tools that they needed. They made great coaching. They did all these things. You ignore all the things that a great coach does to make a player better. Well, Liam Coen wasn't here when Baker Mayfield got here. It was Dave Canales was here. Dave Canales got his first OC job here in Tampa and then got a head coaching job in Carolina. Maybe Liam does the same. Maybe Liam stays. Who knows what happens with that story?
Right.
But mind we forget how we got to this point. Mind we how we Ray Charles and don't see stuff when we want to see it. And I know. He's got to talk about a story in its entirety. They took a chance on a guy that everybody gave up on. And I've said it right here with you, James. I was not the biggest Baker Mayfield fan. I was not.
Right.
The guy made me fall in love with him.
Yeah, I said Baker's going to make a believer out of me, and guess what?
He's mature. My biggest thing with him was how he was coming out of Oklahoma. Had his legal problems, alcohol and stuff like that. He's growing up. And I can't be never mad at a guy giving it all he's got. And I can't be mad at him, and I'm never going to be mad at him. He's made me into a fan.
But not just that. This is what I say about Baker. And you look at even Sam Darnold. You look at people that have been in Carolina, moving on to do other things.
Oh, God. Remember, they had both of them on the roster together.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield finally got to a place where he can play football the way he knows how to play football. And Baker's a risk taker, which so was guys like Brett Favre. You know, you want him to take better care of the ball sometimes, right? And do better things with how he does it. But at the same time, it is what it is. The numbers, he's having career numbers. He's having success. He's winning games. And you have to look at it now towards like, okay, we got him locked up for a couple of years. Do we need a bit more? How do we do this? Or do we get is he still just a bridge quarterback? But I believe if the broken pieces on defense and we still continue to fill in other places on offense, I believe Baker Mayfield, especially in the division that we're in, can be a good quarterback and the Buccaneers have success with.
No, absolutely. And that comes from, I think Todd Bowles has really learned from being that coach in the New York Jets and figuring out what works and what doesn't work in this league. And I think that's what made him into this guy today, relying on your assistants. You reading the comments too. You're relying on your assistants and stuff like that. And I think that's what has made him to turn this team around and turn this season around when they were 4-6 and they could have easily packed it in and they've turned it out. And that was like 2 years in a row where they did that. There was a point that they could have packed it in. A lot of coaches that aren't experienced at something like that wouldn't have overcame that.
Right.
And that just comes from experience. When you've already experienced that, you can only learn that when you've been through it. Like I said, McDaniels ain't learned in Miami how to struggle, to go on the struggle bus first. You was on the gravy train. Now you got to deal with the struggle bus, and you ain't doing so well with the struggle bus. You can't handle these divas all of a sudden now.
I mean, the struggle bus is real, bro. Yeah. Hey, man. Hey.
I said on the last Sunday.
Not everybody.
Yeah. I said that. I said, if you want to judge a man, I said, judge him at his lowest moment. When that team was 4-6, they turned that team to 10-7 or 10-6. 10-7. Turned that team to 10-17. Could have easily folded, man. Been 7-9. Could have easily have happened. But you guys kept saying, well, they keep putting the faith in the defense. Well, they keep putting in that. When you're playing on a team, you want to know that your coach believes you. And these men, like you said earlier, are more divas than ever. I mean, we sound old now, but the dying breed of real men is really dying out. And I said, guys that live and die on shields and stuff like that, you're with the me era now, the diva me era. And you can still get guys to believe in the system and still fight for you the way you fight. That's the kind of guy you want a head coach. But a lot of y'all ain't never played nothing. A lot of y'all ain't never done nothing with your life as far as sports. So I wouldn't expect you to understand that. As far as you trying to believe in a coach and somebody like that, I wouldn't expect you to understand that. So I kind of have to set myself back and realize you're just never going to know. So for all those that do know, you'll fight for a guy that's coaching you and that believes in you and that believes that you can turn it around. You're willing to put yourself at injury risk to do things for that guy because you know he believes in you and you don't want to disappoint him. I mean, am I wrong in any of that, Jay?
No, you pretty much hit the nail on the head right there, bud.
Mm-hmm.
You're dead on. And when it gets to this point, you know, a lot of it turns into business decisions.
Yeah, and you see a lot of guys packing it in this year when it's nothing left to play for. They playing for the incentives, and it's just like, it's just. I mean, that's just what we're in, man, and it's just not going to change, especially in college football now.
Being able to sign Godwin, but also being able to hopefully have him stay healthy.
Yeah, healthy. Yeah, and I want to get Godwin back because it's going to kind of be a wash. You kind of got to take a hit for it. Mike's going to retire. Year 12 is it for him, so he can break Randy Moss's 1,000-yard successive year and ride off. This is it. This is the last ride for Mike, and you can bring him on, and then Godwin becomes the new Mike Evans. You bring in new guys. What do you want to do? Defense has to get addressed. I don't want to go into that yet. I want to get into a part that I didn't get into yet because me and you are bringing up what you guys are great. I don't care if we agree. I don't care if we agree or not. I love that you guys disagree or whatever with us because that gives me and James to interact with you on why you don't believe in that and all that. So don't think that because you don't agree with us, we're like mad at you or whatever it is.
Have your opinion. You're supposed to
disagree with me. I like to see that you disagree with me. I just give me a little explanation on why, so I can say my point on it and spin it a little bit because I know you're typing or whatever. Just try to give me a little description of why, so I can give you a better banter back. So what I wanted to get into, I said we had tape. I hate when it does it. I tell it not to do that. So let's talk about some points.
I tell it not to do that.
Yeah. I said I could get into points why you got into trouble in this game, and you had every chance to close this out. So we'll start with the starters. I always call it was at that moment you knew you effed up.
Right.
It was this point here.
It was at this moment.
Sweet fumble broke my heart. This was the point that they could have closed out the game on this drive.
Yeah, because you just stopped them. You just had the big defensive stand.
Yep.
Man.
And this is on Baker. This is the timing. McMillan's looking down the line, waiting for Baker to give him the call. He should have in his hand. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, it should have been. It was snapped too late, and McMillan ended up hitting it and knocking it out of his hand. I mean,
I don't know if that's Barton. I don't know. Baker could tell you better. He blames himself. The ball should snap now.
That's what I'll say about Baker. Baker's a stand-up guy when it comes to this. He fell on the sword. A couple people that I talked to, they said that the snap that you could see the inflection of Baker trying to make the call. They thought that Graham Barton snapped it late. I don't think it's late. I don't know. Me also, formation-wise, is he supposed to be that tight in the slot right there where he is to start that motion? Most of the time, you do cheat in when you know you're going to bring that jet sweep to come across. Or did he tighten down a little too much and then it messed up his timing? It's a lot of different factors that go into that. They run it a lot of different times, I'm sure, in practice to get ready for it. And I'm sure most times out of not, I'm looking at McMillan's split right there. Split looks fine to me. But is he always at that split and is the timing always there? Or is he normally a little bit wider? Those are the things we don't know because we don't see how they line up in practice and everything.
I'm surprised I can pay attention to these minor details even after having a few. So and I'm about to break it down what I just saw, and you're going to be like, damn, I didn't pay attention to that either. Jalen McMillan did not know he was going to get the jet sweep on this. Watch Jalen McMillan's reaction when the fumble happens. That's how I know he knew he wasn't getting
how he looks back at it?
That's how I know he didn't know he was getting the ball. he never at no point came back to know that he was supposed to get that fumble. I mean, he was supposed to get that handoff. So something went wrong with the communication. That's probably why Baker took the responsibility for it. Watch his reaction. That's not a guy knowing you were supposed to get a ball. And the rest is history at that point. So I don't know what happened with the communication there. He had no idea he was getting a jet sweep. So let's go on to another point. I believe this was a 4th down stop here. Did I get the tapes mixed up? Yes, they were supposed to be vice versa. This was the 4th down stop to get to that point where we got. I put the films backwards. This was the 4th down stop to get to that point. I was saying the points in the game, pivotal points in the game. This was a pivotal point to the game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get to that point I was getting to. But let me point out a little bit here. You picked up Deion Jones off of the waiver wire, and he came in. He should have gotten an interception earlier in the game and came in here and make plays. He's playing like a veteran, which he is. Look at it. There's nowhere to go with this ball. Levante David, the top left, is taking that tight end away, and that's exactly where Jalen wants to go. Remember I told you why KJ Britt's terrible at linebacker? Because he stares at the quarterback. Meanwhile, the receiver is running right behind him. Levante's been in the league too long to fall for that. Deion Jones has been in the league too long for that. And as you can see, there's nowhere to throw this ball. That was before where we got to. So, what's this one? I think these were a couple of bad plays. This is the drive where they should have scored the 7 and forced Washington to score a touchdown instead of a field goal to win. Let's look at the play scenario, the play calling in this situation, which I don't understand sometimes this season of why Liam called the certain plays that he called. What the hell is this? What is that?
And you got Bucky Irvin trying to lead block on Bob Wagner.
What? What? You are not Lamar Jackson.
That is not the best play. And it's funny. It's funny because it's being run like, and they don't even really believe that they're gonna have success doing it.
Offensive line, big credit, good seal, good cut block. The lane is there.
Yeah, but now Wagner has to be on the ground. Your running back has to get him down on the ground and occupy him enough for Baker to hit that crease and go. And you watch how this block is met in the hole. You just watch how Bucky Irvin is met in the hole by Wagner.
He's flat-footed. You done.
Yeah, he wants none of that smoke, as the kids would say nowadays.
He don't even block him.
He wants none of that smoke.
he don't even block him. He doesn't even block him. And I don't blame Bucky. That's a business decision.
Yeah, that's a real big business decision.
I don't blame Bucky. I'm 5'7". What the hell did you expect me to do with Bobby Wagner? Which I'm glad I brought that up earlier about Rachaad White and Bucky Irvin. What do you expect Bucky Irvin to do to Bobby Wagner? Put him on his ass? Is that what you thought was going to happen? He's a Hall of Famer, bro.
Oh, man.
He's a Hall of Famer. And like I said, I don't know why Rachaad White was X'd out of this game, but this play had no chance. That's on Liam. Offensive line, great job. You did what you were supposed to do. Here's the second play.
This one here really made this really had me at my television last night.
What is this?
Oh no, that's the other one. The snap. Like, what the hell? Why did it was a false start damn near fake snap almost?
I watched it again. It wasn't. They moved.
Somebody ran to the wrong side. I think that play was supposed to go. Something was very wrong about that though.
So it makes me believe again, as I pointed out, with Jalen McMillan jet sweep. Is Baker not communicating the play right? Did he say it wrong in the huddle? Those are things we'll never know.
Right.
because there's obviously a communication issue, and that's from your quarterback. That is strictly from your quarterback. There's some type of communication issue. Here's another point in the game which hurt. Todd Bowles, big shout out. You called the perfect defense for what they called. Your guys did not make the play. Obviously, Yaya knows he has the guy coming out the backfield. Why he turns the way he turns, I have no idea.
Never turn your back to the ball.
Pick six. It should be a pick six. He threw it right to you. He threw it right to you. I don't know why I keep doing that. Yeah, he threw it right to you. All you had to do was stay flat-footed and get right under it. You turn. I don't know what that is. I don't know. And here's the coup de grace coming up here. They try to fool you with motion, try to get the defense to go one way. The defense didn't buy it. Kalijah Cansey slides right through. All he had to do was follow the pulling guard, come crashing down. You wrap him up here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers get the ball back. We missed the tackle.
They kicked the field goal.
You grab the towel and kick the field goal, and the rest is history.
Man.
The rest is history.
Woo, Lord. Man,
Your thoughts, James?
It's easy, not easy. Going back and looking at the film, and as a player, those are the small things in that film room that you're going to hate to see, but you're going to learn from. I think you give Kalijah Cansey that same opportunity to make that play 10 times, he makes it 9. You know what I'm saying? The Bucky Irvin play on the run, don't know what the hell that was all about. The block.
Oh,
that's
Lord,
just you got to know your personnel again, like you said. You made some really good points on a lot of different things, man, about what needs to be done and how it needs to be done. And the ball was dropped on a couple of plays, and that's the difference of going to the divisional round or getting ready to pack up and go to Cancun.
I was just reading the comment here from David. The reason Todd Bowles needs to go is I listen. First off, you tune me out with that part. I listen to other teams' podcasts, not the players, but teams podcasters. They all love to play our defense, knowing the Todd Bowles is going to run zone defense 80 to 85% of the game, and they know always that we have to quick 5 to 7 yard slants all game. We drop our edge rushers in the coverage around the league. They call him Todd Zone Bowles. Well, he plays man a lot, actually, in blitzes, and you do run zone on one side and man on the other. It's just how you can disguise it. But like I said before, up until this year, he has been top 10 in defense, and barring so, you had nobody left in the secondary. You picked up guys sitting on the couch and made the best that you could do, what you could have done this year. But most teams, especially if you're a Giants podcaster, how did DeVito feel with all that blitzing? He looked pretty bad in that game. And he blitzes a lot of young quarterbacks because they're not used to saying that. But when you play guys like Matt Stafford and other guys that's been in the league that long that are used to saying that, they're more inept to know where they want to go with the ball and certain things. And it's all how you process where you want to go with the ball versus if your guy in the secondary is going to cover the wide receiver really well on that play versus what they got called. It's really opportunistic, man. It's when you call it and how well they defend against it when they call offense. What do you think of that, James?
Scheme is scheme. You listen. You say you listen to other podcasters, and I talk about their teams loving to play the Buccaneers because of how much they play zone. But at the same time, your personnel and who's healthy and who's available and what you can do is going to dictate some of your play calling. So if you have some of your best man corners or your best safety that's out of the game that does a lot of different things very well, you have to change up how you call it, what you call it. You can know it's coming. I can line up and tell the offensive lineman of what I'm about to do. And if he's better than me, he's going to stop me whether he knows or not. Offensive lineman can tell me the play that's coming, but if I can't beat the reach, if that's just something I cannot do technique-wise, I still can't get there to do it. You can know we're in zone, but you still have to execute and carry things over. And the bend don't break mentality, a lot of people don't like. But at the same time, the zone man defenses help. Like Blake said, you play zone on one side, man on the other side. You disguise it. You play two man, so you might have too high. Too high, man on the outside, and using your linebackers or using the spot game. Anthony Nelson dropped back in coverage quite a few times last night.
Yeah.
You have to get creative with it. Everyone's not meant to play that old school lockdown man-to-man defense all the way across the board. The league's not set up like that. And the way they play nowadays, you don't have all the athletes. Yes, they want some hybrids to where a lot of your safeties now can also play linebackers, but you don't have a lot of that nowadays where you can do both.
Because of shoes. Man, Vita Vea, boy, there's not a stat sheet for the things that man does on the field. You were talking about Vita, but
yeah, he has the factor grade that we used to talk about all the time in the meeting room, Blake. We used to get graded not necessarily on making plays and making tackles, but also the factors in the game. What things did you do to change the complexity of the game that help us succeed? And that's a factor grade. Rod Marinelli came up with that factor grade. And, you always wanted a high factor grade. So I might only go into a game where I had 3 tackles, you know what I'm saying? But my factor grade score might be like 14 double pluses, 1 minus. But my factor was I consumed the guard in the center, and now Hardy Nickerson was downhill to make that play in the backfield. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's Vita Vea does the little things that people just you love watching that. I love watching that man play ball.
And what James is trying to say, for those who may not understand, is you can make the play without making the tackle. That's what a factor grade is.
That part.
I did my job so somebody else could make the splash play. The splash play that goes on a stat sheet. Yeah, I sacrificed myself because I did my job. The other guy was able to make the T4L. He was able to make the sack. That's a stat that doesn't go on the stat sheet, and that's what James is talking about.
Hey, Blake, I believe David has another good point, though. I mean, he has a good point on this one because he says,
the 2-1?
Well, yeah, because, okay, you're right. But at the same time, that comes back down to personnel. You try to fill those shoes of a JPP being gone and a suit.
JTS ain't it.
And yeah, and that's the thing. So, yes, the defense looks better when you have people executing and dominating a lot better. We've seen some glimpses from Logan Hall finally a little bit, a couple times this year, right? So, but you look at a guy like JPP, that's a hard person to replace. You just don't replace him. Even Shaq Barrett leaving and coming. So, David, you got a really good question right there on the point. Like, is Todd Bowles that good? I believe the defense, I don't believe people who question his defense question it if we had some of the same production from JTS that we have from JPP.
That's the right.
I'm not saying copy him, but have some of the same production. There's some of the same production.
That's a good point. And no, David, I love it. Don't think I'm not mad at you. I know a lot of people are kind of on the fence, and some people don't like Bowles or whatever. You beat Patrick Mahomes, the Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, because you were able to have 4 guys be able to get to the quarterback. You're able to put the Reds back in coverage. You made the perfect game plan to stop him. That'll forever go down in Super Bowl history for the things that you did in that game. You don't have that. Any team has to have some type of edge rush. Go watch these. What's the Rams? I'm looking at this. The Rams and the Vikings play. Mm-hmm. These guys, they got guys that can get to the quarterback before. Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't have that, and you don't have the guys in the secondary currently because of injury. Right. You can't let them stay back in coverage that long.
Right.
That's why they're getting roasted across the middle of the field. I mean, there's 2 things that you have to be successful for in the NFL: protecting the quarterback and getting to the quarterback. You got to do one of those 2 things really well. The New York Giants showed you that you don't need top end corners to win a Super Bowl. You couldn't even name the starting corners for the Giants team that beat the 17-0 New England, the 16-0 New England Patriots, that Super Bowl team. But you could tell me who all the guys were rushing the quarterback. James?
My bad, man. I had like two things of communication coming out.
Oh, man, you're good. I was the same way.
From two different ends. My bad, bro. Shit, I'm lost. I missed two. I missed a lot of your point on that one.
He was talking about, was it because they had Sue and all those guys rushing and all that? Is he really that good?
Well, Dave, the way that our edge rusher is, the way they play, some of these guys were linebackers before, and it's always been done when you run a lot of different zone dogs, they call it, where you're bringing pressure from one end, and you got to get a defensive endman or your edge to fall back. Edge is just a fancy word for end nowadays, especially if you're playing a 3-4 front, which still always equates to a 4-man, the way they play the 4-eye from the 3 technique sometimes, or moving it down with different people. So it can happen. And those guys are athletic enough to do it, but it's just technique-wise. Like Blake, what a great point. The play was called right. Yaya Diaby turned and faced the wrong way.
Wrong way. You were in position.
They work those zone drops 100 times, and he's corrected anytime he turns the wrong direction. This game, he turned the wrong direction. Ball went right behind that other outside shoulder. You never turn your back to the ball.
Yeah, the pack's not going inside to catch the pass. He's going to catch that in the flats. I don't know why Yaya decided to turn that shoulder. All he had to do is put himself in a better position, and Daniels throws a pick right to him.
Yeah, and I don't think that Jason Light, David, doesn't know how to draft edge rushers. I think the ones he picked that had the high draft grades coming out of that school that year in the draft, just didn't turn into being the production that we're going to get. Like our second round pick this year from Alabama.
Oh man, we picked him because we had to. He don't even play most of the time. Right. Ain't nobody mentioned that. He barely plays. Talking about Braswell.
Yeah, there you go.
Barely plays. And the crazy thing, out of high school, he was the second rated guy behind the guy that's out in Houston right now, which is
Will Anderson.
He was second in overall edge rushers behind Will Anderson when they came out of high school.
Wow. So I mean, Jason Light does a good job at how he tries to find different people, and that's just been a position we've missed on. Why? Man, trust me, I wish I had the answer to that. I wish I knew exactly why. That's been the one deficit that we've been having in hell. And if we find out, I'll let you know. You know what I'm saying? Follow me at JCan97 on X and at BGSE Network. And we'll, what I'm saying, I update it as much as I can. I find something out, I'll let you know. You find out something, you let me know. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, David, man, I love it. Like I said, I'm loving the comments. I don't think we mad at it at all. Man, I wish I had an answer. Like you said, wish you had an answer. I think in this draft, if the guy's not there you want at that pick in the first round, I'd pick the best talent. I wouldn't just pick a guy for the sake of, unless you really believe that this guy is going to be the guy. But you have to help this defensive pass rush. I don't know what it is in Tampa Bay since those guys in 2002. I don't know why it's so hard to find guys that to get to the quarterback on the edge. You got a lot of good guys on the interior that are getting to the quarterback. It would be great to get that kind of same pressure from the edge.
Right.
This defense would be like next level if you can do both. If you can get the guy the pressure from the inside and the pressure from the out. And David doesn't have much time left. I don't know if he wants to retire, and then before you have to worry about that position as well, as far as
that needs to be priority.
Linebacker.
That needs to be priority.
And everybody that knows me and watched me, I'm very familiar with Levante's agency. I'm very close friends with Ron Butler, who's also Jaden Daniels' his agent. I'm very close with those guys. And Ron will always tell me, as a saying, Levante will play as long as his body allows him to play. And Father Time is gonna end eventually, but you got to start securing these positions before you have to start worrying about another one. What do you think, James?
No, you're right. Father Time is undefeated, and it's time. Like, the thing you can't do, and that's hard for a lot of GMs in the NFL. You try to squeeze one more year of that money in that contract and maybe go cheap to get something or replace it too late. I think now needs to be the off season where it's like, all right,
it has to be defensive loaded. You got it.
We're gonna get somebody and I'm not gonna say replace, because you don't just replace Levante David, but someone that can be the next man in that position, and maybe one day he turns into that same type player to replace him one day.
I think Sebastian Dennis is that guy. I believe it.
Well, I think Sebastian sufficed, but I think you still got to add to the depth in that room.
Oh yeah, most definitely, because KJ Britt ain't it. A lot of people wanted to be on KJ's nuts because you hated Devin White so much. So you made yourself believe that KJ Britt was that good when he was.
Be that
guy. And it's funny because it's another point I want to make. A lot of these guys on the net, you couch GMs, you couch coaches, you couch player evaluator, or whatever the hell you want to call yourself, evaluate players. When Devin White was playing, you managed to watch how he played every single game and managed to know when he wasn't out of position, when he was in position. But this year, when guys didn't perform as well as they should have, you suddenly couldn't see
the same thing, right?
So you pick and choose when you're ignorant and when you're not ignorant.
Right.
You pick and choose when you're ignorant and when you're not ignorant. So I believe bring it all back before I went on that high horse for a minute. I think Savarsier is a very good linebacker, and I think he has the ability to play it. That's why I did my perspective against that Lions game, which he single-handedly helped them win that game against the Lions with his coverage ability, making Goff hold the ball for as long as he did because he covered the guys that he needed to cover.
Right.
But who is the other guy? Who is the next Levante David, if there's such a thing? Who is that next guy? We don't know. But it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
I agree. I agree with you.
Oh, James is killing. David's killing it. I think Kancey needs to go to edge. I think he should kill it in that spot. He's played there.
Yeah, situational though, but he's too small.
He's done TE stunts from out there. He's done everything out there. He's gotten sacks. Kancey is a Swiss Army knife. He can do a lot of things. I think we need somebody next to be. I say that every year. I want another guy. I said if Vega goes down, the complexity of this defense changes. Big shout out to Greg Gaines though. That dude is bald he's been on this team.
Right. My
theory is a new outside linebackers coach. I don't think it's the coach. I think it's the players. Like I said, I coach right now. I coach these kids in high school, and some guys got it, some guys don't. There's some things I could teach you 1,000 things. I was, like I said, I was very good at rushing the passer, and I could tell when somebody's good and what's not. Do you understand angles? Do you understand how to beat a guy when he kick out blocks and when he short steps or whenever that? Like there's some guys that the light clicks and there's others that don't.
Right.
We talked about that. Clancy play edge, in my opinion. Not as every down, like James said, situational.
Yeah, very situational edge rusher.
Yeah.
Somebody you can't put him out there to let him move and do what he does when he lines up inside and make the play for me.
You know, you and I said that when he was drafted. I think we had that recorded where you said he's going to be really good as far as TE stunts, slants inside,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And he's made all sacks and those kind of plays. So
keeping them in space and keeping them moving.
Yep, and he's great at down blocks. We're coming off the guard or tackles backside, getting downfield like you just saw in the tape I showed, where he should have made the T4L on Jaden Daniels in the game, which would have gotten the ball back. He's great at those things because he's so fast.
Yeah.
James, I think we got in everything pretty much, man. I don't think there's much left that I think we need to tap in unless you got something individual. Let me go to my notes just to make sure. You talk about Gruden. Yeah, plays when if we I think we got in everything tonight, James. And I know we got an hour. And I know you got stuff to do. I just want to make sure we ain't missed nothing. Is there anything?
I think we on. I think we touched on this. Is the thing. Being a Buccaneers fan, it's frustrating. But like I said, you also have to have realistic expectations. If the Buccaneers would have gone any further than the NFC, the conference championship game and made it to the Super Bowl, I would have been beyond ecstatic. But at the same time, having faith and being realistic, I think are two different things. And I knew we could win the division. I knew that we could be a playoff team.
Yep.
A deep playoff run, I was always suspect of that because starting the year off, we had a brand new offensive coordinator. We didn't know what we were going to get. We didn't know that Bucky Irvin was going to turn into our number one back.
Nobody had that. Nobody saw that.
Right? So a lot of things happened during the season that made us go, yeah, cool, this. We had some spouts where we lost some games. And, we beat a team like the Eagles and Lions early on. Like, damn, we got this. We're going to be okay. Lose to the Broncos. Like, what the hell is going on?
Then reality hit.
Yeah, and then it's just like, okay, this is just what it's going to be with the Buccaneers team this year. And you have to be ready to accept it, get on with it, and keep things realistic. Now you got to hope that the offseason comes. We do what we're supposed to do in the offseason. The scouting department goes and earns their money. They draft well, free agency. Once some of that money starts to free up, that Brady dead cap money starts to come back, being able to go and make some bigger splashes and get some other people in. And then we see what's up from there. But I think overall, I'm okay with the season. Yeah, yes, I want us to win. But realistically, after we got swept by Atlanta, it was even hard for me to say, damn, we division champs because, shit, we got beat twice by them goddamn pigeons up north.
The Atlanta Pigeons. Let me further back that what I said earlier. It's funny that you make it. Goddamn, KJ Britt made the goddamn Kirk Cousins look like a freaking Hall of Famer with him being in the middle of the field against the Atlanta Falcons. He made Kyle Pitts look like the first round draft pick that he was supposed to be because they would see KJ Britt back there and just throw right over his head. And then with the two losses to them Atlanta Falcons that we shouldn't have had and shouldn't even been in that situation at the end of the year where you had to win, had you won one of those games. But whatever, it's water under the bridge. It's part of the NFL season, et cetera, et cetera. But it's furthermore that I don't think this year it was an issue of coaching. The coaching showed up itself. That's what my kind of finale is with this. I think the coaching showed up. All the assistants to Todd Bowles showed up because when you were 4-6, you could have folded.
Yeah, big time.
Could have folded. They did not. And they played in a hard-fought game with the Washington Commanders at home and sadly fell short. But there's nothing to be ashamed of this season, the way you overcame this season. There's nothing to be ashamed about. And if you're a true fan of this team, I'm not saying this because of Homer. Those that know me, I'll call it as it is. If he was bad, I'll say he was bad. If Baker was bad, I'll say he was bad. Neither one of those two were bad this year. They both had ups and downs, and they overcame a lot of adversity. And I think a lot of you guys, the fans, the guys that are truly love this team versus the people that are always negative, I think your voices need to be louder than the ones that are not, because there's a lot of bad things being said on there. I sent James some of the stuff and stuff like that. I think your voices need to be louder than the ones that are super negative in here. And it will make it more enjoyable for yourself and more enjoyable for other people who want to do that, because Lord knows in this world there's enough negativity. You want to watch football, you want to enjoy yourself, get your mind off of whatever you got going on in your life. James?
I mean, first and foremost, Blake, you said everything I need to be said right there. Have your opinion. We never hate you or mad at you because of the opinion you have. We can always simply agree to disagree on certain things.
Yeah.
But to some of the comments I've seen, and I told Blake earlier, I said, man, your folks tripping. You need to holler at them, man. And I say, whenever somebody do something stupid or say something stupid, they're not my people. They his people. They his folks. I ain't got shit to do with people that's crazy.
Is that what it is? You want to throw it on there?
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's a great getaway. Get up here, talk about your team, vent, express how you really feel. But at the same time, at the end of the day, step away from the situation, analyze what's going on, and just really try to, figure out how this team is going to be better in the long run. And then you just go from there and just keep cheering things on and rooting, man.
Absolutely. James, any final thoughts you want to tell everybody? They can find your content and everything. I know you got the hashtag on your hat, as do I.
Yeah, hey, hashtag BGSB, that's Big Game Sports Buzz. That's my sports variety show. Also working on James Canada's Pewter Perspective. Might change that name up a little bit because not everybody knows Pewter, but everybody knows Buccaneers. So I'm working on maybe a name change on that. But you can follow me on Twitter. It's at JCan97 or at BGSE Network. I'm on Instagram at BGSE Network or JCan97. Actually, that's Big Game 97, excuse me, on that one. But anyway, man, put my name in, put the hashtag in. You can find me, communicate, let me know what you think. What you do, what you like in sports, what you like about certain things, what you don't like about certain things. If you want a pro's perspective, hit me up. Let me know. I'll let you know through the mind of a professional athlete of how that's looked at. So that's it in a nutshell, man. I'm just here trying to make people smile one person at a time, man.
Same here, man. Try to educate you at the same time. We'll have fun. And you got Big Game here. You got me, of course. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll say it as Maximus said.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I hope you were. As we always do. Give the master everything. What you do with your life, what you do with it is entirely up to you. Thank you guys. God bless. And as always, fire those cannons. See you next.